In episode 47, iPiffle on having a personal God. Everyone who believes in God also believes that God is on their side. When countries go to war, they believe that their God is with them. Some wars are openly fought in the name of and for the glorification of their God. But God cannot be on everyone's side, not unless it is God who is the instigator of war. If that is the case, then God should be condemned and not exalted. If mankind were to take God out of their lives, there would be less conflict and fewer wars would be fought. Even on a more mundane level, isn't it hypocritical for an athlete to give God praise after winning a game? Just ask yourself, why would God even care about the outcome of a sporting event while others are suffering untold hardships? While athletes are playing their frivolous games, people are suffering great turmoil throughout the world. The God that is being praised for giving one team the victory is the same God that caused the other team to lose. The God being exalted for a win is the same God who allows people to starve to death or to suffer in countless other ways. When one person is living a privileged life, another is enduring a horrendous existence. How can anyone with a sound mind attribute any of this to an all-powerful and benevolent deity? It makes no sense. It is unjust, and common sense should tell you that either God is unjust or God is powerless to intervene on man's behalf. Either way, it is contradictory to give God the glory for all the good in the world without also condemning God for the bad. It goes against even basic human decency to give God a pass when tragedy befalls us. To say it is God's will and to accept on faith that we cannot understand God's reasoning is to show a lack of empathy for all the suffering that takes place. To say that God has a plan for all of us as the means of accepting the tragic death of a loved one is to condone God's actions as just. There is no justice in causing someone anguish, not if you have the means and the power to prevent it. You should never give praise to a God who treats one man better than another. To thank God before a meal for providing food for your table and not rebuke God for allowing others to go hungry is disdainful of their plight. Therefore, whenever you praise God, you are either giving praise to a false God, an evil God, a duplicitous God, or to a God who is powerless to intervene in this life. It is often said that when people find themselves in a life and death situation, nearly everyone will turn to God for help, whether they are religious or not. This is because we fear the unknown, and so we want to reach out to something greater than ourselves. What if we are wrong and God does exist and can intervene on our behalf? What if there is a God who will pass judgment on our souls and determine how we will spend eternity? These are powerful thoughts which can keep most people from straying too far from believing in God, especially in times of great duress. Some religions ascribe evil in the world exclusively to the devil. If this is true, then it would make so much more sense to believe that the universe we exist in is the devil's creation and not God's. It would have to be the work of an evil deity, not a benevolent one, who has created a world in which all living creatures must face death in one way or another. The devil has created a world where man has the capacity to perpetrate grave atrocities upon his fellow man and upon all the other living creatures that inhabit the earth. It must have been the devil who created a world in which diseases, natural disasters, and a multitude of other perils are so pervasive. Misery and degradation are the devil's work, not God's. It certainly makes a great deal more sense to believe that the devil created the universe and that a benevolent God, if one does exist, must be powerless to directly impact men's lives while they are alive on this earth. This begs the question that if there is an evil deity who has dominion over the universe in which we all live in, then why is there so much beauty and goodness in the world? How can all the joys that some men experience be the devil's work? On the face of this, it would seem contradictory. But it is precisely because there is both good and evil that this could only be the work of a malicious deity. Without both good and evil in the world, there would be no conflict. Either we would only know peace and happiness, or we would face only hopelessness and despair to the point where man would lose his will to go on living. If all men lost their will to live, then mankind would almost certainly cease to exist. An evil deity thrives on conflict. Conflict breeds more misery and even greater suffering. Just the sort of thing the devil would want. Gambling casinos have learned to exploit this very same concept. They create beautiful environments and inducements to get you to come into their establishments. They even let a few people win big jackpots to give the other gamblers hope. All the while, they take most people's money and ruin a lot of lives in the process. If everyone won money, these casinos would go broke. If no one won money, the people would stop coming. Just like in life, a few lucky people hit the jackpot and live wonderful lives, at least for a time. But most of the world's population who have lived on this earth have experienced untold hardships and sorrow. This is not God's doing. This is the work of something evil, pure and simple. Atheists reject the existence of any god or gods. They contend that no deities exist. It is implied as a part of Stephen F. Roberts' popular quote, "I contend that we are both atheists. I just believe in one fewer gods than you do. When you understand why you dismiss all the other gods, you will understand why I dismiss yours." Agnostics contend that whether God exists or not, this is something which is unknown or possibly unknowable for man. The agnostic neither believes nor disbelieves in the existence of a deity or deities. He is unsure. Thank you for listening. I hope you will join me in my next video.